You've probably clicked on this video because, well, the title's quite clickable, isn't it? Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga 2, but that is exactly where we kick things off today. Hi, I'm Jack, also known as Work the Space. We have spent 3 years at Union Berlin. I've thrown that all out the window to join BVB. And just to be clear here, it was 3 very successful years at Union Berlin that culminated with us winning the Europa League and finishing 3rd in the Bundesliga. But I have now left that project in the dust. We are moving on. Maybe we'll bring a few of those players with us. And it's a brand new chapter for us as we head to Borussia Dortmund. Now, in this save game, Dortmund have been in a steady decline of sorts. 8th place year 1, 10th place year 2. Last season, though, they suffered the enormity of being relegated. They've got through quite a few managers over the last few years. I'm going to hope that we're here for slightly longer than my predecessors. And well, that is the story of this save game so far. If you want to check out the Union Berlin save, feel free to check out the videos on the channel to get the full backstory as to how we're here. But now, a new chapter begins. And that chapter begins, honestly, with just a monumental rebuild. We need to get this team in shape. This is a team that was relegated from the Bundesliga. There are some players on frankly ridiculous money here. I have a bit of history of Julian Brandt. There's a meme involving me and Julian Brandt. Editing Jack, play the clip.
Julian Brandt! Yeah! Goal! I don't know what's happened, Z. I've got a bit carried away there. Apologies.
In spite of that, though, he is on £87,000 a week. And if £87,000 a week is too much for Julian Brandt, 85,000 is too much for Sebastian Haller here. Yeah, we need to sell this bloke. Some good news, we do still have Makoko, although in this save game, super inconsistent, very injury prone, and to be honest, his goal scoring record hasn't been amazing in the Bundesliga. Maybe it'll be better in the Bundesliga too, but he does have a release clause of 68 million. And like a lot of players in the first team, I think he's probably going to want to leave. And in fact, if I come to the dynamics screen here, there's lots of players who want to leave. The hierarchy's a little bit of a mess. Some good news, we've got money to spend. £29 million, loads of wage budget. Some slightly less good news. Our first game of the season is on the 26th of July. I've got 3.5 weeks to sort out this mess. The board want automatic promotion. I want that year 1 at the very least, but we need to have a clear out. We need to bring in some young players. And to top things off, I am maintaining the transfer restriction we had at Union Berlin. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, we are only allowed to sign German players with 2 exceptions. Every season, we're allowed 1 international wildcard and 1 further wildcard signing that comes from Austria, Liechtenstein, or Switzerland. So yeah, over the course of this save game, expect to see us building a rather large German core to this team. I will just say before we run the intro, if you're sat here now expecting me to be playing matches today, not going to be happening. The reality is that today we're going to try and sort out the squad, set up the tactics, maybe try and get some players gone. Tomorrow, we are going to be trying to get some transfers done, and maybe, depending on how all that goes, by episode 3, we'll be playing the first game of the season. It's a monumental project. There's so much to get done. Let's run the intro and try and get started with it. I'm excited. I'm nervous. A new Football Manager adventure begins now. Okay, I will admit it, that was the longest intro ever to a video, but I feel like it's important to set the scene as we go into episode number 1 here with Borussia Dortmund. And first things first, we have some existing negotiations going on, including a potential fan favourite in Julian Brandt, who does already have some offers for him. 10 million from Southampton, 8 million from Rennes. And looking at things here, he does also want to leave the club due to us being relegated. On the one hand, memes. On the other hand, I feel like I do need to get rid of unhappy players. Football Manager is very much morale manager at times. At the same time, we're selling him a bit cheap. Both these bids are like a load of money over a load of years. I'm going to reject these bids. There's still 3 weeks left of our pre-season, much longer for most other leagues. With that in mind, I'm going to offer him out for 12 million and hope someone bids it all up front. Elsewhere, before I even review the squad, there's a few more players who I know just from my time looking at things I want to get rid of. Sebastian Haller, I am willing to give away on a free transfer. I literally do not want to be paying a 32-year-old £85,000 a week in the second tier of Germany. Ozcan here has 2 years left on their current deal on £57,000 a week. Currently on their way out the club. They also want to leave the club due to relegation. We're currently selling him for like £4 million. I mean, that is hideously cheap, isn't it? But his value is low. Did he play well last year? No. I feel like no one at this team played well last year, though. I'm going to reject all the bids for now. I'm going to try and get a little bit more money for him, but potentially there's a reason why the previous caretaker manager was willing to let him go for that lower price. There is one rather odd thing about this Dortmund team. It contains 3 former Union Berlin players that I sold to them for a combined £27 million. The first of those players is Robin Knock. We sold him to them for £7.5 million 4 years ago. Not going to get that kind of money for him if I want to sell him now. Paul Jacob was another player that we sold from Union Berlin for £12 million. I mean, he's not a £12 million player, but his wages aren't too unreasonable, so probably will end up using him as a centre-back. And actually, in a similar vein, Florian Flick is a player that I sold from Union Berlin to Dortmund a few years ago. He's also the kind of player who I think could be quite good. There's a part of me that wants to make Jekyll and Flick my centre-back partnership this year. You know, we're just going to get the gang back together. That's surely got to be the plan. In terms of players with really significant value, Moukoko is right up there. I don't really want to sell Moukoko, but if someone was to bid his release clause, I feel like it's £60 million. We probably would just have to let him go as part of the rebuild. Elsewhere, a couple of other rather exciting young players. Jamie Bino-Gittins, Englishman, really talented, does have a massive issue with injury proneness, but the fans love him, and he's the kind of player who I think can really shine at this second division level. And we also have Duranville here, who at 20 years old has loads and loads of potential. His current ability is lacking. If we were playing in the Bundesliga, he would not be near the first team, but given that we are down a level, it is going to open up an opportunity to maybe give players like this guy a bit of time to develop. I've got Giovanni Reina here, 23 years old, 3 years left on his current deal. He wants to leave the club. There is some interest in him. I think I'm just going to offer him out and see what we can get. I was just looking through the first team thinking 23 players, we're selling on a few. We're going to be having a big clear out. This is going to make me calm. I then went and checked out the B team and the under-19 team. There's like 60 players here. Now, some of these have some mad potential and some of them I might promote. Players like Roel Koenig, he looks absolutely amazing. 20 years old. He's the kind of player we could have as a, super sub option and probably could start for us and do really well. Players like him are going to get a chance now to fulfill their potential in a way they maybe wouldn't have if Dortmund had stayed up. There's also Filippo Mane here, Italian under-21 international. He looks more than serviceable. I will say, I do feel overwhelmed coming into the job and having 60 players to sort out. They're not all going to make it into the video. I'm going to be trying to sell on the ones that I don't want, though. In terms of system and shape I want to play, I do feel like it'd be wise to stick with something that we know. And I'm thinking that we could go back to a similar shape to what I played at Union Berlin, which was just a 4-3-3. Given the fact we've got 3 weeks till the season starts, let's get one system that I think I have players that can fit and use that as a baseline to work around. I have just realised we've got Marco Reus here. We have Marco, he's 37. His physicals have gone off a cliff. I mean, he's an absolute legend of the club and he might be good for 1 year. I mean, the thing is, his contract's up at the end of the year. He's probably just going to retire anyway. In some ways, this is a great time for him to have his swan song. His last season at the club can be helping the team go back up. Have just been blocking out what I think could be an okay starting 11 for the year. We have an obvious issue. We don't have fullbacks. At right back, I could play Mane at right back. I feel like he's more of a centre-back, though. Trilly spent the entirety of last season out on loan. He should not be anywhere near the first team. In fact, I'm going to just try and sell him because I don't think he's very good. We have got Julian Ryerson here. Is it Ryerson? He looks good, but given the amount of money he's on and his age, he is probably the kind of player I should be looking to get out the club. I feel like, he wants to leave. I don't want loads of players who want to leave here. So that's the right back situation. At left back, we've got some okay options. Players like Valeri here who, probably could do a job for us. And the other left back option we have is Rami Bensebaini. I hope I've said his name correctly. I feel like this guy had a really good season in real life for Gladbach, so I really should know how to pronounce his name. He's been a mainstay of this Dortmund team as they've got worse. And at 31 years old, on £50,000 a week, I don't want him here. I really did underestimate how much of a rebuild this was going to be at Dortmund, but this is a rough starting 11. Moukoko up top, Duranville playing out on the right-hand side as a winger. I think that is just going to be his best role. He kind of lacks a little bit in the mentals and raw attacking technicals, but he's quick and he can run fast. Those two things are the exact same thing, I'm aware. I think Bino-Gittins, if he's fit, could be a good option cutting in from the left-hand side as an inverted winger. In terms of creative options, Zavoranek, he's a really good creative option. 21 years old, bags of potential, was signed from Bayern for £34 million. Hasn't really made a splash in the Bundesliga, but I feel like with me in charge, he can have a fresh start. Alongside him, Sissoko looks like he could be a good box-to-box midfielder option for us, has the player trait get forward whenever possible. So despite the fact he's really good defensively, I don't think I could play him in a defensive role. Also, previous manager had him transfer listed. Let's get that updated. You're here to stay, son. And in terms of the defensive core, I've talked about Flick, who I actually think is going to play as a defensive midfielder for us. In terms of players we've not yet talked about, Radu Dragusin looks like he could be really, really good. I mean, he's Romanian and he's got a ponytail, which is definitely the source of his powers. He's not necessarily the craziest centre-back in the world, but for our level, I think he could be good. Only minor concern, he's got a £13 million release clause to clubs in the Champions League. And he's on £54,000 a week. That's a lot of money. Now, interestingly enough, goalkeeping is an area where there isn't necessarily a super obvious option. We have Lotka here, who's not exactly amazing, but then we have a player who is a regen, but with my regen face back, has a face, Harit Jovic here. He is a German under-21 international goalkeeper. He has some of the best aerial ability I've ever seen in a player this young. He looks absolutely immense, and whilst it could be a potential disaster to have an 18-year-old as your starting goalkeeper, I kind of like the jeopardy. He's listed as the hot prospect on the club profile screen, and with that in mind, I think I'm making him the main man. I haven't even hit continue yet, and I've been recording for 20 minutes. In terms of episode 1, for any kind of YouTube Let's Play, you want to really sell the team, set the foundations, then play a match. I'm not going to... Oh, I've already just got... I can't do that here. This is just a weird project. There is so much to do before the start of the season. It's like... It's like I'm packing for holiday the night before I'm going away. I've got that kind of energy right now. I can't get over how oversized our B team is. Like, there's some players here who have some potential. Some players here who I do want to keep around. There's so many players here that I just need to get rid of. Like, there's a bloke here with this ability and potential who we're paying £6,000 a week to. A little bit scared for this moment. I've just offered out a load of players. I've got 45 transfer offers. Also, if you're wondering, Jack, what first team players I want to leave, here is a lovely list. A few of these I'd quite like to keep around. Okay, first things first, I have been offered £12 million for Julian Brandt. I feel like I have to take it, I'm afraid to say. As good as the memes would be, he is just on too much money. £12 million for us. That is fairly significant money to go out there and buy some young German talent. Levante have made a bid for Allah. Apparently Allah has no interest, mate. Just piss off, please. Just go to them. Go to them. I'm going to just threaten him. That sounds good, doesn't it? Right, hopefully Haller's on his way out because I don't want to be paying his wages. Oscan has some bids for him. They are more than what we got for him before, but still only around £4 million. Can I be cheeky? £5 million? Atletico didn't like that. Okay, in that case, I'm going to accept the Lyon bid, but reject the Wolfsburg bid, because really, I don't want to strengthen other German teams. I offered out Trilly for £3.5 million. We haven't got that, but we have got a bid for him. In fact, we've got 2 bids for him that I think are worthy, both worth in excess of £2.4 million. We're going to take those. Do you ever have that situation where you offer out a player in Football Manager and then you get so many bids for them that you think, probably should be asking for more? Getting that with Rami here, £2.5 million is kind of cheap, isn't it? So many teams have bid, I'm going to reject them all and offer him out for more. I want £5 million. One amusing player that I am going to be selling is Alexander Esvedo, who I actually had at Union Berlin and sold to the Dortmund AI before I took over a few years ago for £4.5 million. He's 21 years old now. He's not a £4.5 million player, but I am going to be able to get £2.8 million for him from Bochum, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that bad. Tactical genius when it comes to transfers. Rami, £5 million. I've just said I don't want to sell players to rivals. If I'm selling a 31-year-old for £5 million, he can go wherever he wants. So if all these transfers going through were potentially saving £400,000 and making £35 million, it's not bad. I am sitting, hitting continue here, realising this is the most unorthodox episode 1 ever. It's like, hello, welcome to the team. We're selling everyone. Hope you're enjoying it. It's like the reverse of retail therapy. It's like doing a car boot sale. Oh, it's a big moment. I get to introduce myself to the players. Here we can salvage the dressing room atmosphere, which actually isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I wanted to introduce myself as the new Borussia Dortmund manager. Everyone loves me, except Robin Knock. Robin, former my player Robin Knock. Robin Knock, who I'm currently in the process of selling. Piss off, Robin. No one likes you. I want us to get promoted as champions. I'll be honest, if none of the players agreed to that, I would be concerned. Okay, I've clicked all the options that they want to hear. You've done Football Manager team meetings, I assume. They now all love me. Kind of. Some of them love me. Robin hates me. Has also just dawned on me, I've got pre-season friendlies today. You know what? The assistant can do them. I've got a lot more on my plate. Am I crazy here for thinking that Rickoff is not worth £8 million? 21 years old, has some potential, but I don't see it. If I can get £10 million, I'll take it and run. There's a few other youth players in this first team that I think could be good youth players, but I have to question, are they worth as much as they're worth, or should I just cash in on them? I think Gullikson here actually could be quite a useful centre mid option, especially if Bino Gittins is super injury prone. This guy could be the most unorthodox inverted winger ever. I don't know if I've ever had so many players in one team with the bid status next to them. There are so many players leaving the club. There's loads of players of interest in them as well. I'm just trying to get rid of everyone. Gonna claim full credit for this. First friendly of the season, 6-0 win. Bino Gittins got 2. It's the beginning of a new era. It's English manager with English player. We get like a good chemistry link like in FIFA. So he plays better. I get to meet the media, except I don't because I'm a sane person. And who attends press conferences in Football Manager? If you do it, you deserve to be on a register. I am designating them to the assistant. I've been away from the club for like 2 days. They've just sold Nemecha for a record fee. We will be keeping an eye on my former club, Union Berlin. They've sold Nemecha for £75 million in my absence. I mean, it's a really good amount of money, but yeah, they're already selling the best players. Asvedo, the fullback who I was desperate to sell and just wanted to get rid of, he's just turned down Bochum. He's just turned them down. It's like he wants me to hate him more somehow. All right, £3.5 million, transfer list him, offering him out. Elsewhere, Julian Brandt, nah. He's going for £12 million. It's 12 million. I have to take it. He's on £80,000 a week. It's ridiculous. I mean, look, on the one hand, memes. I get it, memes. On the other hand, we have Duranville, we have Bino Gittins, we have Makoko. I want to develop them, and it's £12 million that we can use to potentially sort out the defence. A really good start to time at the club as well. Radu has picked up an injury. He will not be here for the first few games of the season. Yay. Am I going to be stuck with Sebastian Haller? He's just turned down Levante. I've offered him out for nothing and no one else bid on him except Levante. Surely someone wants to have him. So he could probably score some goals for us. I just don't really want to be paying him £85,000 a week and then £17,000 for every goal he scores. I will hold up my hands in a minute. I've done a lot of episode 1s on YouTube. This one has a very different feeling about it. It feels like I'm just jumping straight into one of our classic transfer specials that we do with every series. I hope you've been enjoying it. If you're a new first-time viewer, I promise we do normally play games and stuff, but equally, I feel like this kind of project, seeing everything we're doing behind the scenes is important, even if at the moment it is just selling everyone rather than signing anyone. Okay, another sale made. Ozcana has joined Leon. This guy is a very good centre mid. Would have been a useful squad player, but at £50,000 a week, it's too much money. Managed to get £4.7 million for him. It's money that we're able to reinvest. Whilst we do have a load of money in the bank, I'm expecting that to shrink rather quickly, given the fact that we have significantly less TV money and such. I suppose that is somewhat indicated by the fact that despite all the overall balance, the transfer budget is limited. I say limited. It's £45 million. Episode 2, the next episode, tomorrow midday, by the way. Every weekday we upload here. I will go absolutely bonkers signing players and potentially try and get some of the young players from Union Berlin that I brought there to join this project instead. But yeah, first I still need to get rid of lots of players. I'll tell you what, my anxiety levels have just spiked. I mean, I have to register a squad for the upcoming season. I'm not ready for this question. Come back to me in 2 weeks. Okay, another sale made. Ryerson to Levante. At least someone wants to join Levante. £2.5 million for him. It's not a load of money, but considering the wages he was on, kind of happy with it. After Knox sent it for me in the team meeting, I've sold him. He's on his way to Cagliari, only £800,000. But considering he was on £50,000, I'm just happy to save some more money on a player who probably wouldn't even be on the bench. We've also managed to get some money for Trilly here, £2.6 million. More money going in the piggy bank. No one's bid on Alec. Can we just release him? Can we just... £5 million? £5 million to release him. Surely we can mutually terminate this. Sebastian, it's me, Jack. Look, you don't want to be here. I don't want you to be here. He does want to be here. Okay, well, he's staying then. Maybe I can keep trying to sell him. Yikes. Okay, I offered him out again. More teams have bid, including Levante again. Maybe Parma or Gijon won't be wasting my time. Okay, Rami is leaving the building. Another £5 million in the bank. This guy would be an amazing player to keep around the team. But I feel like at 31 years old, by the time we're in the Bundesliga next year, he's going to be on the decline. I think it's better to cash in on him now, especially with all the wages he was on. And ultimately, just didn't really play well last year. I don't feel like I should be rewarding him by giving him a new contract. I feel like I should point out at this point, in spite of the fact we're selling a lot of first-team players, we still are very much the favourites for promotion this year. Given the fact the team's taking a step back, it makes sense in my mind to get rid of a lot of players who it might be more difficult to get rid of later. Had an older squad, we've got rid of some of those older players. And also, when I look at this team now, there's some players here with some really good potential that I feel like going down the league, really, it opens up the opportunity to give these guys a rate of first-team football that I would not be able to do under any other circumstances. Union Berlin really have a sense of humour, don't they? Do they have a manager yet? They do have they've got the Cologne manager who wears a hat, who we beat in a DFB Pokal final. I should just call him by his name, Stefan Baumgart, but I prefer to call him the hat guy. And the first thing he's done is he's come in, he's found my best youth player, Paul Scholl, and decided he wants to sign him. Scholl here really should be in the first team. This is someone who I'd like to keep around. I'm not selling him for any fee. Never mind less than £1 million. Are they taking the piss? I'm being asked to submit squad numbers. I'm not ready. I'm just looking at things here. Scholl here actually looks really, really good. 19 years old, solid centre-back. Would it make sense to use him as a mainstay of the first team and maybe look to move on Dragusin? I feel like Dragusin on £54,000 a week is mental. I don't feel wowed. The only issue is they are injured, so whether or not anyone's going to want to bid on someone with a spelt hernia is a bit of a question mark. I offered him out, and I've had an offer from Shakhtar. I don't know if it's a good bid. I mean, ultimately, it's worth potentially 7.5 million. It's worth a guaranteed 5.6 million. I feel like Radu here is good, but I just don't think £54,000 a week makes any sense to have this player on. There's certain players in this squad that I look at on paper and go, yeah, you should be really good. And then I realise they got relegated last year. Do I really want these losers around? And I feel like Radu might fall into that bracket. Now, I am overly paranoid that the season starts in 2 weeks' time and I need to start actually signing some players. So I feel like I'm going to end episode 1 here because we've done a lot of talking, a lot of squad management, kind of sorting bits out. We've already sold so many players with more potentially going out as well. I feel like the initial clear out has happened. We've got a bit of a clearer idea when it comes to the actual squad. And I think I'm more prepared for next episode. I think. I've really not convinced anyone there, have I? I'm going to leave this Shakhtar bid pending, but if you've got to the end of today's video, let me know, would you sell Dragusin? Would you keep him around given his current ability, even if it means a younger first-team player might not get a load of first-team opportunities? I'd love to know your thoughts. And as always, engagement helps the video. So if you just want to leave some general feedback on this first episode, that would be amazing. The YouTube algorithm is a weird and mysterious thing. Episodes 1s matter quite a lot. So if you want to do me a massive favour, if you've enjoyed this video, go down below, leave a like, engage with the video, trick the algorithm into tricking more people to watch me talk over spreadsheets. As is the case with all the series that we do here on YouTube with Football Manager, there will be a video coming your way tomorrow and each and every weekday at midday UK time for your lunchtime viewing. I hope to see you guys at tomorrow for episode 2, where I promise we will actually sign some players. It's been a weird one today. It's the start of a new era. Tomorrow, a real proper transfer special begins. I hope you're excited for it. I most certainly am. Can't wait to see you same time and place tomorrow. I'm out.